May 8th, and we are live. It's a privilege to start the week with you. So excited to share with you what started as a really interesting question. So, this is going to be a fun one. So, stick around and I hope you enjoy it. Welcome, everybody. My name is Craig Pera, and you are listening to Sex Afflictions and Porn Addictions. I am the founder of the Mindful Habit System, and for the past decade, we've been helping men elevate and transform into healthy, sexual, strong, confident leaders. You got to go great, right? You cannot be mediocre and channel this powerful sexual energy. So, what I'm going to share with you today, someone asked me this question. They asked me, what are the four most important words or phrases in recovery from sex and porn addiction? Now, I went back and forth on this. I've struggled with exactly how to rank them, but I finally landed. And let's jump in. Let's be efficient. Your time is valuable. If you're listening live, thank you for joining me. Put some questions in the chat as we're talking. I will answer them at the end. If you are not listening to me live and you want your questions answered, then please follow me on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitch. Did I say YouTube? Anyway, join me there, and that way you get notified when I come live. So if you have a question regarding what I'm talking about, post it in the chat, say hi. And if you're watching this not live, then unfortunately I won't be able to answer your question. But if you like or subscribe to me on those channels, you'll be able to follow and get notified when I go live. So, number 4. As the most important word, this is the phrase, but I'm going to include this one. Number 4 is healthy sexuality. Okay. As you probably know, if you've been listening to this channel, the experts are still have no idea what to call this and how to treat it. Let me just give you a quick example, quick rundown. The American Psychiatric Association studied this issue for 5 years, and there was so much controversy around calling this an addiction. It was one of the most hotly debated issues of our time. There was so much controversy in that treatment modality and philosophy, they removed it from the appendix. Okay. The World Health Organization, I think it was 2018, 2019, had an opportunity to include the phrases sex addiction and porn addiction in the ICD 11, the International Diagnostic of Statistical Codes. I butchered the abbreviation. They rejected it. They studied that issue, they rejected it, and they found that that was not helpful. So what they did is they called it obsessive compulsive sexual behavior, and more like an OCD type thing. So anyway, there is controversy. Well, screw the controversy. Whatever the controversy is, you must create healthy sexuality. And what that means is there is an identity. Identity means not just your habits, because you can perform good habits and feel good about yourselves and deep down inside still think you're a worthless piece of shit. So you've got good habits, but shitty belief systems. Okay. We want to create an identity around healthy sexuality. And what does that mean? Right. And listen, it cannot be just about not doing something. There are too many people who are obsessing on the break a habit part of the equation, and paying very little mind to the make a habit part of the equation. So what is the identity of a healthy sexual male? Obviously that difference for everybody, but when I think of my clients and what their goals are and what my challenges were and the man that I want to be, he is mature. A healthy sexual male is mature. He's not a teenager. He's not a child. He's not Google Gaga over tits and ass. How many goddamn series of tits and ass do you need to see to finally be satisfied? It is a cup that will never be filled. He's freed himself from the cult of beauty and the ever-evolving smut-filled high fructose porn syrup The client gave me that. I love it. Thank you, client. High fructose corn syrup, garbage. The articles about the outfits, the look at my dress and all the like the TikTok and the Instagram and these models filtering you to their OnlyFans page, filtering you to pornography. It is a very mature industry. It is evolving industry, and there are too many men stuck thinking they're expressing themselves, thinking they're having fun, but deep down inside, they are trapped by the cult of beauty. Whenever they see someone attractive, they get sucked up into the undertow. Now, listen, a healthy sexual man notices beauty. He's not blind. He notices beauty. He sees it, but it doesn't consume him. It doesn't knock him off his game. He's not drooling like a little child. He notices and he gets back to doing what's important, what's in front of him. If he's at the beach, his daughter would be proud of him, right? Any of you guys got teenage daughters? They're starting to notice the pigs, aren't they? They notice the fixed gaze. They notice the men, looking at them with those leering eyes. A healthy sexual man, if he was at the beach, his daughter would be proud of him. Proud of him. That's my dad, right? And he's not gawking at her friends either. He's not gawking at his stepdaughter. He's not gawking at his that whole genre of pornography. Please don't even get me started. These poor men who get sucked down this rabbit hole, man. And then they get caught and they're watching this stuff and they've got a stepdaughter and their lives are turned upside down. Please, if you're going to just stay away from that dangerous genre of pornography. Okay, what else is the identity of a healthy sexual male? And listen, this list is not exhaustive. This list is not exhaustive. I invite you, maybe you're watching right now, want to put in the chat, what's your definition of a healthy sexual male? You know what he doesn't do? He doesn't nibble around the edges. He's not, the TikTok funnels, man, they are so good. You've got to not interested. If you're going to use these apps at all, they are poison. Are they adding value to your life? Have you trained the algorithm to feed you great information that's lifting you up? No. You may not be looking at porn, but you're looking at porn. You're oogling, you're objectifying, okay? A healthy sexual man is a man of integrity. He honors legacy. He's proud of the man that he's become. And guess what? He's not a prude. He's having great sex with his partner. Great sex. That's the identity of a healthy sexual male. At least part of it. All right? All right. Who do we got here? What's up, Iron Marley? Welcome. Just want to say hi to all the people who are watching now. Welcome. So glad you are here. So, the fourth most important word in recovery is healthy sexuality. The third most important word is self-care. Okay, so to break a habit, you have to make a habit. Self-care is almost everything. I wrestled with this one. Is this one 3? Is this one 2? I can't make an argument that is first, and I'll tell you why in a second. So to break a habit, you have to make a habit. Again, back to identity. Okay, the identity of someone who treats himself the way he wants his children to treat themselves. He cares about himself. He's proactive in managing stress. He takes time for himself, recognizing that whatever he thinks he's going to accomplish professionally, he knows that he cannot accomplish and achieve what he wants to accomplish professionally if he is always sprinting, if he's not pacing himself, right? Smart people work smarter, not harder. Let me tell you something, brothers. I am so proud of the life that I have created for myself. For those longtime listeners of this podcast, know of my medical problems. They are certainly well aware of my mental health problems, and some of those medical problems have gotten worse. I've had these I don't want this to be about that, but I've learned how important it is to stay ahead of it. You cannot be expected to regulate your central nervous system and not use sex as a coping strategy if you're not taking care of yourself. Number 3 is self-care. Number 2 is love. I want you to pay really careful attention to what I'm going to say right now. The common denominator, the root cause of every single one of my clients is lack of love for self. Okay? If you are engaging in shame, self-loathing, the brutal critic telling you what a worthless POS you are, self-loathing. How you feel about yourself is how you're showing up in the world, not just consciously, but subconsciously. If you do not love yourself and love other people, it limits you, it holds you back. If you are out there hating on this group, hating on that group, hating on yourself, all of that stuff that's projecting outward, that's coming from inside you. That's poison. That is poison. And it's not a word that too many people, well, that's changing. It's not a word that too many people associate with men, but it's critical, man. My life is so much better because I have love in my heart. I love myself. Every cell, every broken neck, shoulder, hip, irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's disease, chronic inflammatory response syndrome, 7 car accidents, 6 concussions, fractured skull, low back surgery, jaw surgery, on deck for a shoulder, neck, 4 levels, hip replacement. And I haven't even gotten to the chronic pain and the mental health issues. I love myself. And remember, men, you can't give what you don't have. If you hate yourself, I just honestly don't like that. You can't give what you don't have, right? Are you giving that love to your kids? Are you giving that love to your wife? Can someone who feels like a worthless piece of crap, who doesn't take care of himself? And by the way, self-care, self-love, 90% of the problem. It's not 100%, but you learn to love yourself and you learn to take care of yourself, and you're able to do that systemically over extended periods of time, you have solved 90% of this problem. Obviously, too, I'm speaking generically. I'm speaking to the average person that I deal with, not someone who's also struggling with co-occurring drug addiction, co-occurring mental health issues, other serious physical conditions. Obviously, those things make this more complicated, but even if you are struggling with all those things as I was, 2 of the most important words for my journey, self-care and self-love. Okay? If you don't love yourself, it's holding you back. It's robbing you of the richness of life, stealing from you joy, happiness, connection, vulnerability, accountability, purpose. So number 2 of the second most important word is recovery, is love. And let me recap what I've got so far. Number 4, healthy sexuality. Okay, critical to build not just habits around healthy sexuality, but an identity, a man who is healthy sexuality. Okay, number 3, self-care. To break a habit, you have to make a habit, and there is no chance that you are going to be able to regulate your central nervous system in a way where you're going to be successful over extended periods of time if you are not taking care of yourself. Okay? And how you're taking care of yourself, don't forget, dads, you're training your children. So if you are grinding yourself into the ground with a boss that hates you and a job that is eating you up and spit, and listen, how many of us are out there? But please, men, do not forget, we are living through the greatest transfer of wealth in the history of mankind. With all these problems out there, that's happening now. There has never been a greater opportunity for you to create the life that you want, that you know that you need to be successful. And if you are in a job where self-care is like, no freaking way, love for self, get out of here, there's no time for that, you're doomed. You're doomed. Find another job. Get a better job. Find a boss that respects you. All right, before I go off on another tangent, 3 was self-care, 2 is love. The common denominator of every client that I have ever worked with in the past 11 years is lack of love for self. The number one word, and this is going to be a bit of a surprise for some of you, and like I said, different days as an attorney, I can argue different viewpoints quite well, but I'm going to go with number one. Number one, the word is safe. S-A-F-E, safe. And let me tell you why. Okay, I'm going to kind of just beeline it right to the issue. Some of you may connect, some of you may not. I know that if I utter that word too early when I'm helping people, safe, okay, usually the response is, all right, I've come this far. He's got a little bit of credibility. I don't know what the heck he's talking about, but I'll tell you, everybody 6 weeks in has a deep appreciation for that word because doing their habit cycle work, doing their parts work, they as men have come to understand how unsafe they actually are. If you are getting angry in response to conflict, you feel unsafe. If you need to go to porn to manage and regulate your emotions, your central nervous system, your anxiety, fear, you feel unsafe. And that's the word. If there is conflict in your relationship and you're getting defensive and you're shutting down, you feel unsafe. Unsafe. That's why you get big when you get angry, because deep down inside, you feel so small. And the safe part, some of you may have heard my podcast on emotional safety, which is like the most important couples exercise in the entire mindful habit system. And it's easier to speak to the partners on safety, isn't it? Right? It's the partner perspective. I thought 2 + 2 was 4. I thought the sun rose in the east and sets in the west. I thought my husband's sexual energy was being directed towards me. I thought he was being honest. I feel unsafe. I don't know which end is up. I don't know which end is down. I don't know what the truth is. I don't know. I know there's lies everywhere. I feel unsafe. And men, if you're going to repair the damage in your relationship, you've got to help your partner create that sense of safety. And I'll talk more about this in another podcast, how to do it. And because betrayal trauma causes wounds, you can only do so much. She needs to treat that betrayal trauma wound. It's like being in a car accident, right? You can drive, you can encourage, hey, you should go to physical therapy. You should, do the exercises. And here's the thing with the partners, right? When they unpack that betrayal trauma wound, they realize it is physical. They're not sleeping. They're sick to their stomach. Nervous, tension, anxiety, fear, hysterical crying, anger, rage. That's all in the body. They feel profoundly unsafe. And it's why that emotional safety exercise is so important for the partners. But you know who it's more important for? And I don't say more important. I don't mean more important. I mean that the women tend to have a higher EQ, emotional intelligence, than the men. I ask them, what makes you feel safe? What makes you feel unsafe? Hold on a second. Let me count the ways. They know what makes them feel unsafe. Okay, now when the men do this exercise, a lot of them say, "Ugh, I made this mess, man. I'm going to keep my mouth shut." Nothing to see here. But let me give you an example of a reality that changed my life and really led to me being obsessed about this concept of safety. Now, if there's physical cheating, right, there's unsafety, threat of disease. So there's actually physical unsafety if you are stepping outside the marriage. I'm talking more about emotional unsafety for my porn addict brothers, but obviously the same applies. You've got to do what you can to help your partner feel safe. You cannot make her feel safe. That's something that she has to do internally for her. And I know there are a lot of women very resistant to doing that work. Why should I do anything? Why should I do anything? You did this. True. And like, I got in the accident, you hit your head in the steering wheel, you bumped your arm on the side, your legs all banged up, you pushed your ankle in and that's jammed up, right? That needs treatment. Those physical wounds must be treated. Anyway, enough said about that. Very, very important concept, but you feel unsafe. And I'm going to give you an example. There was one time that I will never, ever forget. There was approximately, well, I'll share two examples. 3 months, 2 months post, 3 months post rock bottom, fired from my job, inpatient for 3 days, absolute disaster. I'm sitting at my computer. Things are getting better now. And now I'm really paying attention to my body. I'm paying attention to my emotional state, my physical state. And by the way, men, there's no emotional, physical. It's all one. Physical's emotional, emotional's physical. I was paying attention to my state of being, how my body felt. And there was this moment that I will never forget. And you tell me, brothers, if you got one like this. I know we got some guys listening now. So if you resonate, give me a thumbs up in the chat. I'm sitting on my computer doing my work. And all of a sudden, I hear bellowing from the kitchen, my wife hollering my name. Craig, Craig. God damn it. What did I do now? Son of a bitch. Right. So this is me in my head. I didn't say these things out loud. And I'm get up out of the chair. I'm sulking to the kitchen, ready to start the fight, and I F and B, those are the words that come to my mind. I'm not proud of it, but I'm honest with you guys. F and B's in my head, the cursing's in my head. I get to the kitchen and she says, "Oh, great. I just made some cookies and I wanted you to have them because they were hot." She made me cookies. She was inviting me to enjoy the hot cookies. And there I am with this story in my head. I learned so much about myself in that ridiculous moment. And I want everyone here listening to find your ridiculous moment, because once you do, it forces you to say, what else might I be getting wrong? What other bull stuff am I projecting onto this relationship? 9 out of 10 clients are projecting, 10 out of 10 clients are projecting authority onto their partners, meaning they feel as if they are the one down in the power dynamic, right? Their wife's up here, they're down here. Now, listen, the wives feel the exact opposite, but they feel they're in that one down power position. They're projecting, I said, 10 out of 10 authority, 8 out of 10, it's mother, right? And the partner, and trying to, one, be like traumatized as to what's going on, their natural motherly instincts. They want to help. They want to do this. They want to that. Most of us are projecting mother onto our wives. And in that moment, I realized how banged up I really was. And it forced me to say, if I am botching this conflict, I'm probably botching most of the conflicts that we're having, and that's going to change. So every time I started, and I still do it to this day, this is something you live with forever. Because this is what mindful people do. Anytime your energy shifts from positive The negative, you're aware, you're alert. Oh, here comes the projection. I'm projecting now, right? And you take steps to not project and to be a good person, to be kind, to not react in the way that you've been trained to react by your parents to resolve conflict, because that's probably a shit show. Certainly was for me. So, um, second story. This is probably it's I've told it so many times. I believe it was less than 3 months. Less than 3 months, hospitalized, fired, moved cross country, can't practice law in California. I'm not licensed. Like, it was a dark, 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 dark time for us. And anyway, I couldn't sleep. I woke up, went to the kitchen, poured myself a bowl of cereal. And for those of you who can see me, right, I'm sitting here chomping on my cereal. My wife wakes up. Where the hell's Craig? Because I had disappeared before. That was my MO, right? I would just leave. I'd set up liaison for the path behind our apartment, the garage of our apartment. If there was a way to be sketchy, I found it. And so I disappear. She's like, where the hell's my husband? She wakes up with that kind of energy, disoriented, confused, and she stumbles into the kitchen, wiping the cobwebs out her eyes, and she rhetorically asked the question, like, oh, you're eating cereal. I swear to you, men and ladies who are listening, it was a nanosecond where I am sitting there with a bowl of cereal on my shirt because I'm a slob. The box is right there. The spoon's in my hand. Cereal's probably in my mouth. I say, no. With a spoonful of Cheerios, I look her dead in the eye and say, no, no. And that was another moment where I said, uh-oh. Maybe my reality is not my reality. Or maybe my reality certainly isn't her reality. She asked me a simple question. How many men here have told their partners the stupid lies? Did you take out the trash? Yes. They get home, the trash isn't taken out, right? You've destroyed all credit. Any progress you've made, you've destroyed all credibility. All credibility. Why? I felt unsafe. And it was a hard word for me to get my arms around. But when you start unpacking the training regarding those reactions and why you react that way, you get back to some pretty heavy stuff. The training, the programming, the family of origin. Yeah, John gets it. Bold-faced lie. Nope, no cereal here. My mind goes, bitch, no cereal here. You know, am I eating the wrong? But here was in my mind in that nanosecond, right? I'm eating the wrong cereal. I'm doing the wrong thing. Mommy's going to punish me. I'm going to get in trouble. Her disoriented, confusing energy really startled me. Like, like that part awakens. And brothers, if you aren't doing parts work, you're doing yourself a disservice. I believe that the internal family systems model and the mindful habit system, I'm not going to put myself on that pedestal, but to the extent that we use parts work, that puts us way ahead of the competition, because parts work will be the new gold standard for psychotherapy, addiction treatment. It is most closely aligned with the modular theory of the mind, and it most closely aligns with the reality that a part of us wants to do this, a part of us wants to do that. The book I recommend is No Bad Parts. No Bad Parts by Dr. Richard Schwartz. It'll change you. It'll open your mind to a whole new treatment modality. So back to my story. Both of those two instances, I felt unsafe. I had a part of me that got defensive. I had a part of me where the walls came up and I had to say whatever I was going to say so I don't get in trouble. Where'd that come from? Childhood. Right. And so once I was able to understand that part of me that gets awakened when my wife asks me a simple question, and I can feel it in my body, right? The receipt of the question, the feel it in my body, the automatic thoughts. What happens is those don't go away. Right? People think they go away. Yes, that automatic defense. They think it goes away. Oh, I'm gonna say something to my therapist and we're gonna have that big moment and my life changes. Sorry, it doesn't work like that. right? I wish those big cathartic moments in therapy produce long-term change. They don't, not because we're bad, because we're creatures of habit. Once I was able to understand the different parts of me that were taking over in response to different stimuli, particularly negative stimuli, now I was able to take action. Now I was able to use my awareness of my triggers and my thoughts and how those triggers and thoughts were received in the body. Those become the prompts and the cues to do something else. Those become the prompts and the cues to do something else. And that is the reason that I chose safe as the most important word in recovery, because your partner likely has to do some work on herself, because most of the partners come to us with stacked trauma, meaning they have pre-existing trauma that has been inflamed by the lying, by your compartmentalizing, by your lack of empathy, by your hiding, by those secret behaviors. She feels unsafe, and you can't fix that entirely, but there's a lot that you can do to make your partner feel safe. But I say even more important than that, and I by no means am suggesting your partner's safety isn't important, but if you don't do it for yourself, you can't do it for her. If you don't feel grounded in your body, right? If you're still reacting the way you were programmed to react, what's happening? Your central nervous system's getting all jacked up, right? Maybe you act out sexually, then feel shame about it. So you get that whole cycle going on, or you get defensive, or you shut down, or you get angry. Nobody can make you feel anything. Right? And owning that and recognizing that I am control of my actions. I can learn, you can learn to not respond. You can learn to make yourself feel safe. So instead of band-aiding this and giving you some platitudes and turn that frown upside down, even break a habit, make a habit, right? That's like one of these platitudes. It's an important one. To break a habit, you have to make the right habit that meets the right needs. You need to feel safe. You need to not be reactive. You need to be in control. And when you're not in control, you feel unsafe. When you tell the stupid lies to your partners, you feel unsafe. When you react in a defensive position, when she asks you a question, and listen, pretend it's 100 times, pretend you're angry. But the reality is, you have to make yourself feel safe. So that's why I picked safe. Now, I could have put self-care, self-love as number one, but I wanted to end with a concept that might not be too familiar with you, to hopefully get you thinking about and studying how you are reacting at any given moment. Right? And the lies are safe. Right? The lies are safe. That's a good point. Yeah, safe. There's safety in hiding. And when did you start hiding? When did you start hiding? Have you ever thought about that? Here's this is my compassionate statement. We're going to wrap up in a little bit, so let me know in the chat if you have any questions. This habit. So we learn very little as boys, infants. Rubbing my elbow feels a certain way. Whew, rubbing my privates feels a certain way too. And what are we told? Stop doing that. Put that away. Don't be disgusting. Do that in private, right? For good reason, because we have, we are the training around hiding, because our sexual health and body education for most of us was so poor. So we hid, right? We hide. And then what happens? Then we start, then like that morphs into, pre-puberty to puberty. We're not sharing this. I'm 51 years old. We're not like these whippersnappers today, sharing their porn viewing habits with their friends. And that was a dirty, dark, disgusting secret when I was a kid. We learn to hide at a very young age. In fact, men, for most of you, this is probably hiding, lying about some aspect of your sexual expression is probably the oldest and most impactful habit in your reality, period. Because look, oldest, you might find a habit that's older, but you will not find a habit. It's unlikely. I challenge you to find a habit that is also, what's the word I'm looking for? That is also, I forget what I'm looking for. I just realized, brothers, I've got my group call starting now. Love you all. Thank you so much for listening. And I'll see you guys in the next podcast, broadcast. Please subscribe. Love you all. Embrace your power of choice and feed the right wolf. Later, man.